Hey there, and welcome. So, Side Effects is holding a new Houdini art challenge called Mardini, which is starting on the 1st of March. The idea of it is to create an artwork in Houdini based on a daily prompt. That prompt is basically just a theme to base your artwork around. It's open to anyone who would like to enter, and if you do enter, it doesn't have to be every day. Last year, there were prizes for Best Daily, Best Weekly, Best Collection, Best Overall Artwork, and for entering every day. So, as you may know, I won Best Collection in last year's Who Lie Art Challenge, and I've decided to do a daily review video for each day's entries. I'm going to be talking about the winning entries, what makes them so good, and then I'm also going to be talking about some of the other entries. I'll go over what I like about them, what I think could maybe be changed, and how they could have been winning entries in my opinion. So if you'd like me to review your entry, feel free to tag me on Instagram at 9_between. So with all of that comes a bit of a disclaimer. Everything that I'm saying here is my own opinion. It doesn't make it right or wrong. I'm just trying to give a critique that the artist can work from and hopefully something that you can learn from as well. I'm not trying to make fun of or insult or belittle any of the artists. I'm merely just trying to give some feedback in an entertaining way. So let's get straight into it. In third place in the images category, we have this entry by Takuya Okada for day 23 sleep. They have this cute little dinosaur sleeping in a hammock. And so I think it goes without saying that the lighting and the feel of this is brilliant, right? It's just so peaceful. You get the warm sunlight coming through the tree canopy, and you have this shallow depth of field. You have this HDRI in the background, and usually I'd be against an HDRI like this, but in this case it just works. It just doesn't feel too out of place. The actual dinosaur looks very soft, right? It's got a very soft look to it, and I think that there is subsurface scattering, but I'm not entirely sure. They did a great job with this because it's pretty simple geometry. All of these shapes are pretty basic, but it's done really well. And this dinosaur looks like a baby dinosaur or something. And they don't have any unnecessary detail, right? They don't have a mouth, it doesn't have a nose. It's just got the eyes because you need to see that the eyes are closed. And you know, these little spikes at the back just to show that it's a dinosaur, to really add to that feel. And what's awesome is that this hammock that it's sitting in is actually displaced by the dinosaur. So I think that's a nice touch. This was probably vellum. They pinned it at 2 points and then moved the dinosaur into it. But I think that this is awesome, right? It looks great. So a wonderful entry by Takuya Okada. In second place, we have this entry by Tom Knoll. And they have this seal just sort of lying on the deck with a fish next to him. And once again, it's got a very lazy feel to it, right? The seal is just kind of fat and sitting there, not really doing much. There's a fish right next to him and he's not even going for it. Like, that really gives you the idea that he's just sleeping. He's tired. And they have this very man-made structure with the seal in the middle, which is a nice touch, mixing the organic with the man-made. And they also have great variation. You can see over here that there's these sort of gray areas on the wood. And I'm almost certain that that's a noise that they added. So they had the basic texture, and I believe that they used a noise to sort of maybe multiply saturation or something. So the saturation over here is driven by a noise. You can see it's like a very distinctive noise pattern in a lot of these areas. So yeah, that looks really good. The seal itself has some good noise. And once again, just like Takuya Okada, they went for very basic shapes, but they still got the idea across, right? They still have enough detail and enough of a story being told by these simplified shapes. The sky is great as well. That just looks like an HDRI, but it's kind of hazy, cloudy, right? And you don't see little elements like any sort of trees in the HDRI in the background. It's just the sky. And that's nice. So everything about this is cool. Nice lighting, very soft, diffuse, and just a little bit of detail being cast by the lighting. So awesome entry by Tom Knoll. Let's move on. In first place, we have this awesome entry by Oscar. And it's just so good. The art style is awesome. They have these sheep, so somebody's clearly been counting sheep. And so they have all of these elements in the background hanging from these strings. And this makes it feel like it's a mobile, right? Like a baby mobile, the thing that you'd have in a cot, where you have these things hanging above and they sort of just rotate. And that really matches the art style, right? As for color, the blue in the background with this yellow looks incredible. They have the light being cast onto the back of the sheep. Honestly, this is an insane entry. It might be honestly one of the best in the competition. You know, there's an awesome level of detail, yet it all sticks to the same style. Like all of these look like toys. It looks like something that a child would imagine, right? A child would dream of. And honestly, like this could be a short film. It looks that good. There's great detail in the sheep's fur. There's great detail on the actual sheep. They have these sort of googly eyes and their faces, the nose and mouth. It's just sort of drawn on. It's really good. Like I can't fault this at all. I think it's brilliant. So an extreme showcase of talent by Oscar. Wonderful entry. In third place in the animation category, we have this entry by Jason Harmon. And they just have this character falling through the clouds and it looks awesome, right? So the hair simulation that they have is brilliant. They've ensured that there's a little bit of detail in the movement. You can see that the leg slightly tilts. Everything seems to be in zero gravity and slow motion, so it's like a slow descent. They have subsurface scattering on the fingers, and the light coming through the hair looks awesome. It also gives edge light onto the back of the subject. They have this sort of nightgown that gently blows in the wind, similar to the hair, and everything about it is just subtle, right? There's a lot of subtlety to it, but it looks brilliant. And it has a dreamy feel to it because of this slow, subtle movement, as well as the element of having, you know, the pink sky, this vertical shot with the clouds in the background. It's so good. Awesome entry from Jason Harmon. In second place, we have this entry by VFX Man 222. And once again, like all of the top entries today, it has a very subtle feel to it, right? Everything is in the subtlety. There's a subtle movement across. The tail of this cat just gently moves up and down. As you can see, he's breathing, just sort of inhaling and exhaling. It looks awesome, right? It's lovely. So the only thing that I might suggest about this is to make a few minor changes to the fur. So the fur is very uniform. It would be nice if there was a little bit of clumping and a little bit of variation in length, things like that. A little bit of frizz maybe. All of those things would look awesome, but I do still think that this is a lovely entry. So they've got this shallow depth of field, which takes your attention away from that and brings it towards the front. But you still get to see minor detail in the background, which makes it so nice, right? You see that little bit of breathing and the tail movement. I think it's awesome. They also have a good lighting setup. Over here, I think that this is a great entry by VFX Man 222. They're really ramping it up in these days. They've gotten quite a few wins in the last week, so awesome stuff. And in first place, we have this entry by Carl Drifter. And so he has this character sort of swimming through this pod of whales. Once again, it's a very dreamy feel. And the idea of a dream comes across in a couple of ways. Firstly, this is very surreal, having all of these whales like this. And you also get it across with the sound design, the sound of the whales. You have this character sort of just swimming through all of the whales over here. They've got a great bubble sort of simulation going over here, which just adds a little bit of interest. Their lighting that changes over time and rotates is great. The change in the sort of god rays is awesome. It really gives that sort of dreamy feel. And apart from this just being a dreamy scene, this is how whales sleep. It's a bit weird, I know, but whales sleep vertically. And so it's very interesting that he's gone for that, right? He's gone for something that you don't really see anywhere else. It's a very unique take, right? Having these whales sleeping like this. And so, yeah, awesome stuff by Carl Drifter. I think that this is a very interesting shot. A lot of good elements to it. So, yeah. Overdue. This entry from Hertz, pretty cool. Which reminds me of, is it Moana? I think it was Moana, like the sleeping lady island. A couple of things that I think could have made this really good is maybe higher resolution so that the precipitation stuff doesn't really cut in like this. Another thing is because this is a fairly small area, and I mean in terms of like what's in the shot, what you could do is you could remesh it and then add noise, because if you do that, you'll be able to have noise in these areas over here. So instead of having these stretched areas, you can actually have some detail in there, which would be nice. The other thing is the trees sort of coming down the side over here look a little bit odd. You can do a mask by feature, and you can say like, if it's just pointing straight out like this, mask it. And then you put trees wherever it's not masked, or vice versa, you know? They've used pretty much like the default terrain texturing thing. You can see it's like gray, green, and this blue with some brown in between. I suppose that's fine, but it would be nice to have a little bit of a texture on here, like a displacement or a bump or something, just for some minor detail. The trees, I think, could be darker in color, like a dark green, and then make them a bit bigger. The reason I say make them a bit bigger is not because the scale is off. I think the scale is actually accurate. But sometimes it's better to fake scale, so have trees that are slightly bigger, if it makes it feel like there's more ground cover. So if your trees are bigger, they sort of cover more area, and you get more bang for your buck, because increasing this can be, you know, troublesome, but increasing the size could be nice. So that's just a couple of things that I think could make this a bit better, but otherwise I think it's pretty awesome. Like the level of detail is good, and it's a good concept, so awesome stuff by Hertz. This one from ILLSQJN. That is an absurd number of sheep. If you're counting this many sheep, you need to see a doctor, because that's a lot of sheep. And there's small sheep and big sheep, and they go up to the sky. Oh, is that how clouds are made? I always wondered. That's cool. Nice entry. A very good color palette. Let me give actual feedback. Very good color palette. Pink, blue, purple, teal. You see this a lot. You see this a lot. Pink, turquoise, purple, blue. It's a really good color scheme. It's that sort of magical, midnight, mystical color scheme. So it's cool for this. It really hints at dream. So yeah, nice. Aha, so this one, I really like the art style, right? There's this distinction of almost like a cardboard cutout type thing. I think this one looks really good. The only thing I could suggest is some lighting adjustments, because it is very uniform, but you kind of want to accentuate all of this detail over here. So if you slightly angle a light source, maybe over here, like this, then it would light up all of these edges, right? And sort of like each edge would be lit up. I think that would be kind of cool. But I think that this is so good. It's just, it needs a few minor tweaks to be like perfect. But I do think it's really good. I like this a lot. I think this one from AshFX is really good. So they've used an HDRI. I think I might even have the same HDRI. I think I used it in my, which one was it? Clouds, if there was such an entry last year. Yeah, I think I used it in that one. But yeah, this sloth in the foreground, very nice, right? You've got a very good feeling to this. It tells a good story. Sloth, booty in the air. Very good shape that they have going on here. Like that he's got his own pajamas going on. Very simple texturing, but it works very well. Just sitting on this branch and it's sort of floating in the air. I think a little bit of maybe like glow and things could be very nice for this. Because it is very simple, you maybe want to push it a bit on the rendering side. So even having maybe like little fireflies in the air or something could be nice. But yeah, I think this is very cool. Oh, Aslak KS. That's very cool. It's got a ferret. This is very good fur, I must say. There's like good clumping, color variation as it moves along. Awesome fur. Some of the best fur I've seen. Methinks the only place that this really falls short has to do with the detail up front. So all of this looks insane up till here, right? That looks so good. But this over here, this eye, it looks a bit flat. So I would suggest adding a light, even if it's just not even influencing the scene, just so that you end up with that little bit of white on the eye, right? That sort of reflection. It just makes a character feel more alive. The nose isn't actually geometry. I think it would be nice if it had that sort of, you know, that shape over there that animals' noses have. I don't know if that's the shape of a ferret's nose, but I think it could do with just actual geometry there. And then this bubble over here, I think if you had to make it actually transparent, also there's a little bit of a bump over there. That's so minor. I think that it's mostly just a transparency thing. So if you can make this transparent with a high IOR, and then maybe do like this sort of purplish blue reflection on it, could be very nice. But I think this is an awesome entry. It's so close to being insanely good. Also like that he's sort of sitting on this thing that looks kind of soft, like a memory foam mattress. Lighting's very dreamy. Awesome stuff. Awesome. But yeah, I actually like the fur so much on this that I think I'm going to give special mention to this one. Just because, man, that's good fur. So yeah, special mention to Aslak KS. Very nice render. This entry by Pythagorean's quite nice. It's a bit risky, I will say. So the thing that I'm seeing here that might be an issue is just the fact that it's very clear that this is a grid, right? This over here is quite clearly a grid, and then this over here is quite clearly an HDRI. It kind of needs to blend a bit more. So I would say maybe come in closer to the bed, right? And do shallow depth of field or something. And then you can even extend this further out, just so that the background blurs out, right? You don't really get so much detail in the background. And then you can have this, the focus really being on the ripples and the staircase reflecting and on the bed, and then not so much on the background, because the background is what kind of lets it down, right? At least in my opinion. And so I think if those shooting stars and everything were all out of focus, this entire area over here out of focus, and then come in closer to the bed and just sort of look over the bed this way, so you can see the ripples and you can see the staircase, then it would be awesome. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I do think that it is very good though. There's a lot going on here. And, you know, I respect how much was done in that time. So cool work. Also, I haven't seen them in the forum before, Pythagorean. So yeah, cool stuff. This one from Electrical Pencil is very nice as well. My only sort of critique for it, it's just that it's a bit low res. And so you don't really get the full feel of it. It needs to be kind of crisp to get the idea. But this does have a very relaxing feel. Once again, going for the blue, purple, teal kind of color mixture with a bit of orange. And so this light over here being cast by the fire, that's very nice. Maybe do a bit of a full light. So maybe do something like what seems like a window, casting some light over here. It's just some very simple bluish light. A cooler light, right? Just to hit these areas over here, so that you have a little bit of distinction from the background, because this over here blends very much into the background, right? It's very similar in color and in tone. So yeah, that's just what I think about this one, but I do like this a lot. I think it's great. Rebo effects. Almost peed on myself doing this one. Yeah, that's me every project. Not because I do scary things, I just struggle not to pee on myself. Oh, this is such a pretty entry by Moaniju66. These little embers and things, man, there's so much good detail in that with the volumetric and those things in the background. I think the only thing is that it's maybe a little bit too abstracted. That might be why I didn't win, because you don't really know what's, or at least I don't really know what's going on here. But I think lighting, colors, movement, everything is so good with this one. Definitely like potential to win. Words of Wisdom by Carl Drifter. By the way, please don't feel any pressure because of my work. From scratch, it took me 4 years of solid hard work to get here, and now I'm paying all my attention to each piece of work because I want to test my limitations and make a breakthrough if possible. I think this is a competition of ourselves. If you improve, learn something new, make new friends, or have fun during this challenge, you are definitely the winner and hero no matter what the result is. I have to agree with him here. So a lot of people see the top entries, right? You know, you have the leaderboards here, and there's Carl Drifter, Takuya Okada, Oscar, Nico Klein, Jason Harmon, Beazle. Like, all of these people are so good. And then it's easy to feel kind of despondent. You're like, oh man, you know, these guys, they're so much better than me. Especially like if you're a beginner. And the thing is, I think a lot of people sometimes forget how many years a lot of other people have. That's similar for me. Like, I've also got about 4 years in Houdini. Like, I don't think that my work is perfect by any means. I think there's still a lot of learning and improvement that needs to take place. But there's a lot of people that really think that my work's really good, and I appreciate that. But also keep in mind that you'll probably reach that stage as well yourself. You just need a little bit of time, and you'll get there. No point is unreachable. I used to look at Man vs. Machine's work not so long ago, maybe like 3 years back, and I used to be like, whoa, those guys are insane. And now I could probably reproduce most of what they do. But yeah, it's the journey, man. You know, everyone's at a different stage, and some people have been doing it for longer. Some people just catch on to things a bit quicker. don't get despondent. I guess that's what I'm saying. If you're new to Houdini, don't get despondent when you see these people that put out awesome work. They also had to start somewhere. Sorry for the motivational chat. But maybe it helps someone. I don't know. Oh, it's a schlafen schlaf. Oh no. Oh no. I just watched the murder. This one from Trevor J. If anyone has epilepsy, maybe look away. But it says, Sleep had a really tough time getting this to loop. Still has a bit of starter on it. Oh well. I still think that this is awesome. Very cool. It's quite a unique take. And it is kind of mesmerizing. I should probably look away. Where was I? Oh, yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow, so I will see you then. Or later. Who knows? I don't know when I'm releasing these videos anymore. It's all become a blur. But see you next time. Bye.